This is the TD Fitness Podcast with Coach T, episode number 27.
Welcome to the TD Fitness Podcast, giving you ways to live a healthy lifestyle without giving up the things that make life worth living. And now your host, certified health coach and personal trainer, Coach T.
Hey guys, welcome back to your TD channel. This is episode number 27 entitled March Madness Disbelief. And I separate that word intentionally. This was an impromptu recording I just did on Facebook Live, and it contains my thoughts on the improbable upset. Well, one of them from this past weekend. You know, I've been thinking about this over the past few days, and I think there is a very good lesson in part of what happened with the biggest upset in college basketball history and in you achieving and accomplishing your health and fitness goals. So I'm going to cut to that Facebook Live recording I just did. It's a shorter episode this week, but I'm not one to waste your time with fluff and extra stuff that you don't need. So this is me live talking about basketball, about Navy SEALs, and one of the most important components of you realizing your health and fitness goals and really any other goals you have in life. So thanks for listening. This is episode number 27, March Madness Disbelief. Enjoy. Self-efficacy is defined as the belief that one can succeed in accomplishing a task in specific situations. Hey guys, Coach T coming at you. It's been a while since I've recorded live here on Facebook. I've been doing the video and podcast recordings offline because the recording quality is a little bit better, but I wanted to share a few thoughts with you here today because something happened recently that I think is a pretty good example that I'll use to talk about the power of believing in yourself and believing that you can reach your health and fitness goals and your life goals for that matter. So this is a quick topic. I may expand it and record it as an entire video and podcast episode, but I wanted to get some thoughts out because I think it pertains to health and fitness goals and, like I said, life in general. You may notice that I am wearing my University of Virginia shirt. You're probably also aware by now that during the first round of March Madness this past weekend, UVA lost in a pretty dramatic fashion to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC. For those of you who don't follow college basketball or March Madness, this game had the number one team losing to one of the lowest ranked teams in the field of 64 that entered the first round of play. One ranking I saw had UMBC ranked number 63 out of 64 total teams. Now, I'm not one to be overly dramatic, so believe me when I say it was truly a historic moment. This was the first time in history that a number one seeded team has lost to a 16 seed. It's already been compared to the Miracle on Ice, to the Buster Douglas defeating Mike Tyson. You name the underdog story of your sport of choice. So what does this have to do with TD Fitness besides the fact that I'm a UVA alumni, prior member of the basketball program there, and an extremely disappointed and heartbroken fan? Well, this game was a prime example of two things that are prevalent in so many people's lives, two emotions, if you will. You know, people ask, how did UMBC beat UVA? How did a 16 seed upset the number one seeded team overall? And how did they beat them by over 20 points? Well, first, let me just say that UVA had a truly remarkable season, right? So they were the ACC regular season champs. They were the ACC tournament champions. They were the top seed going into the NCAA tournament, and they consistently played the best defense I may have ever seen in my lifetime of watching or playing college basketball. And I'm not the only one who says that. So what happened? Well, here are my thoughts. You know, it's not about the score. It's not about the talent of each team, at least not as much as you may think. It's not about win-loss records. It's not about the strength of schedule or any of the other measurable characteristics that many would use to define each team. No. This game, this story was about hope and hopelessness. You see, the game started out tied, right? 0-0. The game went into halftime tied 21-21, I believe. But the difference between the starting score and the halftime score was huge. How can that be? They were tied at each point. Well, by halftime, UMBC found themselves on equal footing with the number one team in the nation. And the game was halfway over. And UVA found themselves held to 21 points and tied with one of the worst ranked teams in the entire field of 64 teams. UMBC had a glimmer of hope. And there's possibly no element of human emotion more powerful than hope, than a belief that you can. And once UMBC started to believe, whether this was before the game or during the game, that belief grows and eventually it becomes unstoppable. And as UVA saw themselves tied at halftime, down by a few points right after the half, and then saw that point deficit grow more and more throughout the second half, the outlook seemed more and more grim. Now, I can't speak to the emotions of the UVA players, but I will say that the way they played seemed uncharacteristic in so many ways. Defensive lapses that we never saw during the regular season. They were missing so many shots. They had a lot of turnovers, all the things that they had done so very well throughout the season and had frankly gotten them to this point, they just weren't doing in this game. But as the game progressed, they just seemed less and less like themselves. I don't know if you've seen the movie Lone Survivor, but if so, one of the things that stands out to me from that movie is the never-ending belief that the Navy SEALs that they could overcome the extremely difficult situation that they were in and that they could eventually prevail. I mean, they were outgunned, outnumbered, outpositioned, lacking reinforcements and support. They were without communications for so long, yet they still believed. And that's the special part of the story. And the reason why one of them survived against those insurmountable odds. And that belief, that warrior ethos, is prevalent in those who achieve the seemingly impossible, those like Navy SEALs. To bring it even closer to home for me, hope is a strong component of my faith. Hebrews 11:11 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen." So hope and faith are prevalent themes, not only in the Bible, but throughout religion. To go back to the original example, though, once UMBC found themselves tied at halftime, now they're feeling a little bit taller. They're feeling a little more capable. They're feeling faster, feeling that they are better on this night than the number one ranked University of Virginia Cavaliers. And on the flip side, UVA starts to see the game slip away, just gradually at first, and then very few shots are falling. There were lapses in their defense, and the things that they had done routinely over the entire season just weren't happening. There was a smidgen of doubt, and they started to believe we may lose this game. The story ends with UMBC accomplishing the impossible, a somewhat self-fulfilling prophecy. The story ends with UVA experiencing the impossible, a somewhat self-fulfilling prophecy. You've heard me use this quote before. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're absolutely right. Henry Ford said that. If you want to achieve your goals, it has to start with a belief that you can. You have to visualize it. At the fear of losing you with another basketball example, when NC State won the NCAA tournament in 1983 as a number 6 seed, head coach Jim Valvano started the very first practice of the season with his team literally cutting down the nets. That's something that's only done when you win the whole thing. He had them visualize it, had them actually do it. And the same concept applies in health, fitness, and achieving your goals. Nothing is different. If you truly believe you can reach your goal, the chances of you actually doing it increase dramatically. You want to eat better? Believe you can, and you're more likely to actually do it. You want to be more fit? Believe you can, and you're more likely to practice those habits. You want to be a healthier person overall? Believe that from this very moment, you will be healthier, and you can. Unfortunately, the opposite is also true. Depression works in very much the same way. One small thing can set it off, and eventually it can snowball. So just as the hope and belief are grounded in the power of the mind, so is despair and disbelief. So if you accept an unhealthy lifestyle, unhealthy habits, then you are destined for poor health. It's that simple. Your beliefs are informed by everything you experience, whether it's firsthand or secondhand, you name it. Roger Bannister, the first person in recorded history to run a 4-minute mile. After he did it, within a number of months, there were a handful of other people that ran a 4-minute mile. Why? Because now they saw that it was possible. They saw someone had done it and they believed that it was possible. So what's your experience, meaning either yours or others close to you? What's your experience with living healthier? That's why it's so important to surround yourself with healthy-minded people, health-minded individuals. A 16-seeded team has never beaten a number 1 seed, the number 1 overall seed, but now it's been done. So it's possible again. What's your experience with healthy living? Do you need to wait for someone else to do the impossible, or can you start to do it yourself? And that is where the live portion ends, with that hanging question. Do you need to wait for someone else to do the impossible, or can you start to do it yourself? It's such an important concept, such an important trait, quality, emotion to have, that of believing in yourself. If you need some direction or some help in cultivating that belief in yourself and how to get to the heart of your motivations, your desires, and really how to meet those health and fitness goals that have evaded you for so long, the very first module of the Fit Life program, 7 lessons, in fact, walk you through that very thing. You can check that out at tdfitness.net/fitlife, or just go to fitlifeprogram.com. The show notes for this episode can be found at tdfitness.net/027. There you can listen to the podcast, you can watch the episode, you can download the transcript, and also the Fit Life link that I just mentioned will be on that page as well. Thanks again so much for tuning in. You all have a blessed one. Coach T, out.
Whether you're starting the day off right with a healthy breakfast or fueling before a workout, the foods you choose can make a real difference. March is National Nutrition Month. This year, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics encourages everyone to go further with food. Planning meals and snacks in advance will add nutrients, save you money, and help reduce food waste. Learn more at eatright.org and follow #National Nutrition Month. A public service message from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics.